Remember that red piece in the other map? Short course in gold mining. This is the mine site. That's where the open pit will be. It'll be about 3 football fields wide by about 6 football fields long and deeper than the Bedford Basin. That's where the waste rock pile is going to be. It's going to be as tall as a 15-story building, and it will contain 20 million tons of broken rock. 20 million tons. How many half-ton trucks would that be? A lot. That's the processing plant where the crushing and grinding will take place and the chemical extraction of gold. That's the water intake, okay? That is Square Lake. It's a public lake. That's a lake on public land that they want to take the water from there and use it in processing. And after it's used in processing, it'll go to the tailings pond where a lot of the toxins will settle out, the cyanide that's used in extracting gold, but not all of them. So there's a tailings dam around the tailings pond. This is the most dangerous part ecologically for a gold mine, is the failure of the tailings dam. And the tailings dam is, the plan is that this one will be built in stages, and it will be built of rubble, of waste rock, not of concrete. So it's much more likely to leak. It's cheap construction, it's prone to seepage. And there is no backup containment facility in case of an overflow or a break in the tailings dam. Now, when we started talking with DDV Gold, they said, "Oh, it will be built to a standard of a 1 in 100-year storm." I thought, 1 in 100-year storm? We're getting those about every 5 years. So I think we have to do better than that. So in their last environmental assessment report that came out in November, they said, "Oh, it'll be built to a standard of 1 in 200-year storm." Oh, well, that's pretty interesting. So I went and looked it up in their 800-page bundle of appendices. Turns out it's the same dam. Okay, they haven't changed a thing. But yeah, it'll do for a 1 in 200-year storm too. So there's no change in the plan. That's the polishing pond. That's where the water will go to have more of the toxins removed before it is released into Scraggy Lake. This is the end of the mine site. There's going to be an artificial wetland around the channel to Scraggy Lake, and this is the top of the Ship Harbor Long Lake Candidate Wilderness Area. The distance is 200 meters. Does that make sense to announce a protected wilderness area in December and then to approve a mine 200 meters to the south in February? Not to us. I think it's important to note that no matter how well the water is cleaned, there's a low level of chronic contamination that is judged by regulators to be, on balance, safe. And they use a risk assessment model, so it's okay. So maybe a few fish will be killed. So, but on balance, it's not economic to clean the water any more than a certain level. There are going to be spillways on either side of the tailings dam wall, which would empty directly into Scraggy Lake in the event of an overflow. The 4 emergency situations that are likely to happen. We're not saying they're going to happen, but if anything happens, here's what's going to happen. Atlantic Gold acknowledges this. There might be a chemical spill on site. There might be a chemical spill during transport. Could be an overflow of the tailings dam, or there could be a failure of the tailings dam wall. High quality containment of tailings is the most difficult and the most essential element of mining with any degree of safety at all. It's also the element most likely to fail. So we're starting to look here at a few examples, few notorious examples of failures of tailings dam walls. These have all happened certainly in the last 20 years with modern technology. This is Guyana, the Omai mine in 1995, 120 million gallons, or 3.5 million cubic liters for the younger people among us, of toxic effluent containing cyanide spilled into the Omai and Essequibo rivers. And 50,000 people in Guyana were affected by that spill. You see the before and the after. Tailings dam break, also notorious, in Romania in 2000. And the fish kill there was about 80%. Again, it's cyanide contamination of the Tisa River, and it got as far as the Danube River. This dam was built in 1998. So we're not talking old technology here. One of the most terrible disasters was in Spain in 1988, where 4 or 5 million cubic meters of toxic tailings, slurry and liquid, went into the Rio Agrio. It endangered Spain's largest nature reserve, which is home to 250 bird species, contaminated 25,000 acres of farmland, contaminated the drinking water of 7 towns. I got an email from an engineer the other day who said, no one in North America has died of cyanide poisoning due to a gold mine. Well, good. I'm really glad to hear that. And I hope we don't have to wait till that happens. But the amount of damage that can be done before somebody has to die of it is enormous. Even something as simple as a truck going off the road and spilling its contents of cyanide. This is in Kyrgyzstan. It was 20 years ago, and 2 tons of sodium cyanide spilled into the Barskoon River. Now, cyanide, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but when it's dry, it's inert. You can bounce it on the ground, won't hurt anybody. When it gets wet is when it could become lethal. So for cyanide to travel along our roadways in weather like yesterday, for 5 years, every week, every 2 weeks, for 5 years along country roads, I ask you. This is a cyanide truck in Australia. We don't have trucks like that here, but that's the size. And Australia's a dry climate. They don't have as many problems as we do with that. But even at that, it was it spilled 20 tons of cyanide pellets. That's a lot, onto a highway and a nearby waterway, and both people and cattle were put at risk. And the thing about cyanide is that it combines with toxic heavy metals. It's used to extract gold, if I can use a simplistic analogy, because it attaches to gold, it pulls it out of, it attaches to gold, and then when you dry it out, the gold can be separated. But it attaches not only to gold, it attaches to heavy metals. It attaches to arsenic, of which we have an abundant supply on the eastern shore. It will attach to the mercury that's in the ground from old mining operations.